Hi everyone, I'm your friendly local neighborhood sanitation worker. Oh, this is gross. Okay. My job is to scoop the poop out of the streets. Welcome to the medieval age, everyone. Ugh. As you can tell, living conditions are not great. There's sewage in the streets. That's my job, to clean it all up. Ugh. And the water is filled with your own poop, and the food is either spoiled or it's just plain bad. And this, of course, is a breeding ground for all kinds of nasty diseases. Ugh. But they didn't know that, because germs hadn't been discovered yet. And all the poop in the streets eventually made it into your drinking water and the rivers, because the rivers where you caught fish. Fish is what you ate. And so the medieval age needed someone to fight the diseases and to kill the germs that were killing so many people. They needed doctors. Okay, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to change jobs because this sucks. Ugh. That's much better. Okay. Ugh. Whew. I like that. There we go. Ugh. Ugh. Anyway, and these horrible living conditions generated all kinds of problems in the health of residents. For instance, houses didn't have indoor plumbing, which means that toilets weren't a thing. The closest thing they had to a toilet was the chamber pot. It's literally just a bowl that you poop in. Once the bowl gets full, you throw it out into the streets. And that means that whoever ends up walking into the streets later steps in your poop. And it's your neighbor's poop, and the people across the street's poop, and the animal poop. All the poop. Yeah. And the diseases caused by this general lack of hygiene were some of the most common ones were typhoid, which was a disease that spread through the water systems whenever poop got in it. And that happened way too often. And cholera, that was also a big one. Also happens whenever poop gets into the water. And cholera had a huge epidemic in 1854, which killed 616 people. All because some baby's diarrhea got in the water pump, and everyone drank from that water pump. And then there were more outbreaks in 1832 and 1849, which combined killed 14,137 people. Anyway, typhus was also common, but not as deadly. It was caused by lice in people's hair, and once you got the disease, you had it forever, and you were contagious forever. So as soon as you got the disease, every time you came in contact with someone, they would get the lice, they would get the disease, and then they would pass it on. Ugh. It was really bad. And then there was also dysentery, which is also contaminated water with your poop, and it caused bloody diarrhea, which is ironic because your bloody diarrhea is going into the water that you're going to be drinking, giving you more bloody diarrhea. It's a bad cycle. It really is. And doctors were needed to fight these many diseases. So universities started up specifically to train doctors. And their training lasted for 5 years, and it enabled the doctors to teach other people about being doctors. And because of their extensive knowledge, they were some of the richest people in the medical community. Okay, they got paid the big bucks. And trained physicians very rarely conducted physical examinations, but they rather would, how would I say this? Look at your own urine. And if you have black urine, typically that means that you've got a disease. But since they were so expensive, many of the peasants, the poor people, were stuck with either barber surgeons, which were licensed to pull teeth and cut hair, and that's pretty much it. And the really poor people could go to the town fair and they could get their tooth drawn for free by a tooth drawer. You would sit on a stool, a man would stick his pliers in your mouth, and a man would stand next to you banging a drum to drown out your screams of pain. Screams of pain are bad for business. I don't know if you can tell. And unfortunately, the Catholic Church, they didn't like the physicians because they said that the illnesses were a punishment from God for being sinners, and that they should just give in to their illness. However, the Christian community was very supportive of the physicians because since the Christians believe in Christ, who healed people, healed the sick, cured the blind, all that. So the Christian monks ran almost every single hospital in the country at that time. And they provide very cheap health there. And then the monasteries also had a small little herbal garden attached to them by the 10th century. And they would use the garden to grow herbal medicines. For example, a herb known as anise. I'll pass out some anise candy later. It tastes like black licorice. Anyway, it was thought to cure. Okay, give me a second here. It was said to fight congestion, freshen breath, help digestion, stop hiccups, get rid of lice from children's hair, and stop babies' bad gas. Didn't do all those things, but ironically, this was actually in the medical section at, where'd you get this, Walmart? Walmart. But you might be wondering where the doctors got their ideas and what the universities trained them. The universities, they taught them the words of Hippocrates and Galen. They were ancient Greek physicians, and they both believed that the body had 4 humors. There was black bile, made in the spleen, phlegm, made in the head, blood, made in the heart, and yellow bile, which was made in the liver. And that if these humors were unbalanced, so if you had more of one humor than you had the other humors, then you would get sick. And so they came up with a couple of remedies for having too much blood. You can probably guess where this is going, but they would put a small bowl under your arm, cut it with a knife, and let it bleed for a while. And if you fainted, typically that was taken as a good sign, because that means that you've lost enough blood. But then they all died of infection because they had their arm cut open. And then for the smaller bloodletting, they used leeches, which are just tiny little animals that will latch onto you and suck your blood. Yeah. They start off about this big, and then once they're full, it get about this big. It's not good. And weirdly, leeches are actually still used today in medicine, specifically to treat wounds in the nose, face, and ears kind of area. Yeah, okay, bear with me with this, but whenever a leech sucks blood, it releases proteins through its saliva, which makes the blood very thin and makes it hard for blood clots to form. And so it makes it easier for the leech to suck the blood for longer. And it's because of these special proteins that they're used in that area. Because if a blood clot forms in that area and then makes its way up into your brain, you can have an ischemic stroke. Ischemic stroke. I really can't say that word. And it would cause part of your brain to die. That's why you still use leeches. Don't want your brain to die. Ugh. Yeah, gross. And in conclusion, the Middle Ages were not the most sanitary times, okay? Remember the poop bucket? But they did give us a deeper understanding of a lot of medicine practices. Some of our most basic surgeries are done using techniques from the medieval times. It was around the medieval age that they learned to put alcohol on wounds, because that's what killed germs. They just used wine, but that's where we get rubbing alcohol from. And then it also gave us breakthroughs in how diseases spread, like cholera, and that it spreads through water, so now we know how to prevent that. And overall, it really was a great age in the time of medicine. Do you have any questions? Wiley?
Can you still get all of these diseases?
Yes.
Okay.
We've generated a lot of cures for them, but you can still get them.
Okay.
Dylan?
Some of the diseases cause boogers.
Well, there's congestion, which is cold. You don't have to cure for that, but not really.
And what's in that box?
This is just where I kept all the props. What else? Got it? No.
Why
What
do
are
you
you
have
reading?
those skeleton pieces up there?
Medicine stuff. Also my uncle works at radiology department, and they X-ray you, so they have a lot of models.
X-ray room.
I don't have an X-ray. Also not licensed for
Also,
X-rays. Leo.
X-rays
Okay. Anna.
X-rays are actually very dangerous. Only take a couple, but if you do ultrasound, they're more safe.
Grace.
Gabrielle.
Gabriel, thank you.
Why do you have that right there?
I don't know. I just need a model. Anyone else? Christopher, do you have Christopher? No, Jesse? Miss Vonderhaar.
Can you talk about where you got your information from?
I actually use, I don't think we still have it, but do you remember I feel better if I have a frog in my throat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I use that as actually, that was a pretty good resource. And then also, I also used Health and Medicine. It's just an entire book on medieval medicine practices. Dylan?
What's under your hair?
Hair.
Oh.
Okay, Cooper?
How many diseases are there?
What?
How many diseases are there?
You can't really count them. I don't know. Michael? Yep, now it's there. Okay. It was actually partially because of my of our reading that book, of reading I Feel Better with a Frog in My Throat, and so I started looking into that and just like, you know what, this is kind of cool. Anyone else? Christopher?
Did you say the pass all the Lucas thing?
Oh, right. If I can get some if I can open this by myself.
Can we wait till snack time?
Yeah, that's a good
That
idea.
might
Would that be okay?
I give it a.
If you would like to.
We're also not sure there's enough pieces for everybody.
I can't see it.
It tastes like black licorice.
We still can't see it. I can eat it.
I
can't
can
eat it. I'll do it.
So if you don't like black licorice, then just don't try some.
I've never tasted it. Me either. I want to taste it. We don't know.
Nope. Okay.
Michael, I think this is a really engaging presentation. I like that you use different visuals and you're taking that information. Yeah, but I think that instead of having a PowerPoint, this is a different way of